Okay. Okay, guys and ladies and germs out there, we's here having a little fuzz budget with the internet there. So let me get this going here the right way. I want live chat, not top chat. There we go. All right. Anybody got anything you want to say to start with?
Hi.
I brought my water purse.
For drinking? Or is that just looking water?
Oh, this is drinking water.
That's drinking water.
I am thirsty.
Yeah.
Dehydrated.
Yeah, I've been, since they changed my... What are you doing? I don't want you on here. Since they changed my insulins, I've been taking that Jardigan.
Jardians?
Yeah, and I'm got a little more thirsty. And they took me off one of the other injection pins. So instead of taking 3 different injections, I only have to take, well, I still take 2 injections, but it's 2 of the same one. So we're going to see how it's going to work. Yeah, and that, because I was starting to have too many complications with it. So, anyhow.
You start to hallucinate, are you?
No, I wish. I doubled the dose then. Hell with that, man. So, doing pretty good this week until I went to the VA clinic this morning, or yesterday morning for podiatry. And being that when you're diabetic, they want you to come in and have your feet checked quite often to make sure you don't develop some problems that can lead to infections, which then can lead to amputations.
Yeah, it can happen really quick.
Yeah.
We gotta watch out for that.
So, I went to them yesterday, and I wished I hadn't. I had an infection or another, not infection, but another fungus attacked my big toe. And since the toenail was quite loose, the doctor had to remove it. So, I had to put on brand new socks just to go there, and by the end of the afternoon, they were all blood.
It takes forever for feet wounds to heal.
Yeah, well then when
especially when you have diabetic issues.
And when you got blood thinners to boot. So I had Mom take the bandages off, and we cleaned it with some hydrogen peroxide, and then we bandaged it back up, figuring, well, we'll give her a few more hours to quit bleeding. And this morning we got up. That bandage was all blood infested, so we pulled that one off. And this time we cleaned it with hydrogen peroxide and alcohol.
I bet you that felt good.
Couldn't feel a thing.
Lucky.
Yeah. So then we put a new bandage on it, but this time we put some betadine cream on it, so that it will help fight any infections as may come. So, anyway, that's where we're at, and that's what I did. That was my experience for the weekend. Now when I go up after the show, I have to double check everything and probably put a new bandage on again tonight. But Mom's learning how to do it pretty good. So, anything happened to you guys out of the excuse me, out of the ordinary?
Our new barn is getting closer to being completed.
Can you spare a slug of water there, Scott? Well, that's good. How big is it, did you say?
40 by 30.
40 by 30?
10-foot screens on the east and west side. The horses go out on one side and the
Where are you going to keep the goats? Where are you keeping the goats?
They had their own barn.
Oh, they got their own barn, huh? Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
No, it's not like it's water. Wait a minute.
I don't drink the clear liquors.
I mean, we may make our goat farm live.
Residue of cigar, pipe smoke, beer, whiskey, and maybe a little rum. Anyway. Okay, I see the people are out there. Mr. T, out on parole from FB jail, huh?
Both sites. We're out today about 9 a.m. Free.
Free at last, thank God.
It's nice to see once again the bear didn't get Mr. T. Well, we got an agreement. If the bear gets to Mr. T, we'll have bear steak.
I had bear stew once. I liked it. I've never had it.
I had bear burger, but didn't have any bear steak. But
I've heard it's you have to be very particular on how you prepare it, or it's kind of a game.
well, we made a rice and what is the cattail root stew from it. We were doing that in one of our reenactments. We always cook weird things that we've been our pioneer people
Oh yeah.
would cook.
I knew the IMUX loved their game.
Well, they don't get much game. That's how we got to running with the IMUX, or Canadian militia unit that did French and Indian Wars in the War of 1812, and they also did Civil War, and as you might suspect, they did the Confederate side of the Civil War. But
Came from north to play the south.
yeah. So he says, I like bear claws. That's not the right type of claws here. That's how we met. We're doing our first reenactment right up here at Mad Anthony Wayne's blockhouse up in Erie, right by the Soldiers and Sailors home.
Okay.
Up there, and we didn't have our primitive tent, so we had a modern tent, so we were camped separate from the primitive, right behind them actually, and we were cooking up some venison steak on a little gas grill, you know. Are you still running around here, Booger? Won't Mommy let you in? And so
This microphone.
So we were cooking them, and one of the Canadians come by, going down to their picnic table. He says, "What are you cooking there?" And I says, venison steak." And I says, "Yeah." He says, "Man, we don't very often get venison because most of the people live along the St. Lawrence River and Seaway, and maybe 20 to 30 miles inland from that. That's where 90% of the population is on the East Coast. And then you have those over in the West Coast. The center of the country is virtually uninhabited. In some sections, I think, are still unexplored. But anyway, I said, "Hey, I've got an extra one here. When I get done with it, would you like it?" And he said, "Well, most certainly." So I cooked it up, and we took it over to them, and there were about 12 of them sitting there. 12 guys and their wives all got a bite of venison off that one steak.
And they were happy for it.
They were happy. They invited us to come down to the Saturday night camp party, sitting around the fire.
And they knew how to do that.
Yeah, and they formed what we call the Rose of Alabama, and we were members of the Rose of Alabama. And I have never seen my wife get so drunk in my life as she did that night. She was laying, where we didn't have cots, we were just laying on the ground inside her tent. And she was laying there, and she said, "Will somebody stop the earth from moving?"
Well, keep in mind, these knuckleheads, the way they drank, is they had like a big round circle around the fire, and they would start like a bottle of like port wine on this side and a bottle of whiskey on this side, and they would open them, toss the caps in, and they went around until they were gone.
That's right, and the bottle was not allowed to touch the ground, so it had to keep going.
And they went, and they went, and they went. And then when that was gone, they opened another one.
Yeah. Well, they got beer infused in that mix. I mean, we had, I don't know how, there was about 20 of us. And the next morning when we cleaned up, fleeced the area before the tourists come in, we found 25 whiskey bottles and about 75 to 100 beer cans. And we were pretty well toasted. But but I learned a lot of new songs, new versions of Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and of course then they had the engineer song. I've often wanted to try and track them down, see if those songs were on tape, because I'd love to play them on here one time. But I haven't been able to do it. Yeah, bear stew's tasty. So, anyway, that's a little bit of history we did. We had good times. And some of the stupid questions that we get. We were up at Girard, PA at the Yellow House doing a Civil War event. And we had a campfire going, and on that campfire we had a whole turkey wrapped with bacon strips on it, okay? And we had it on the fire, and we had to rotate, hand turning it. And people, is that a real fire? Yeah, that's a real fire. Is that a real turkey? Yeah, I just shot it this morning. There's the feathers there. Are you going to really eat that? I says, you betcha. And when it's done, it'll be the most tasteful piece of turkey you ever ate, bar none. And gourmets in the big cities that go to them restaurants for all them big, expensive gourmet foods don't know shit about what they're eating.
That one time that we cooked the turkey in the ground was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but when you cut once you dig the turkey up and you cut that foil off, and it literally just went. All you could see was like meat and bone. It was delightful.
Yeah.
But you had to get up early, get the fire going, dig the hole, get the coals,
Yeah. Then you put 2 sticks in the side there for air vents, and then you put the turkey in it, and you covered it up with dirt, and you pulled the 2 sticks out. And what was it, about 5 hours later?
Something like that. Depending upon the size of the bird, how long you want to cook it. Oh yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah, that was good. So, yeah, you heard us right. You take the turkey, you dig a hole, you take the turkey, you put coals in the hole, and then you stuff the turkey in it. You wrap it.
You wrap it in about 5 heavy layers of foil.
Yeah, so that keeps the dirt out for you. And you stick it in there, and 4 or 5 hours later, better than chicken gumbo.
One of these nights, one of these Saturdays, we'll have to plan on doing that.
Try and reenact that.
Dig a hole in your backyard. Stay away from the sewage area, of course. But
we'll do it in the front yard where it's dry.
There you go.
Don't do it in the swamp area.
Dry spots?
Yeah, out the front.
Maybe we could have young Daryl rustle up a couple of squirrels. We could stuff the inside of the turkey with squirrels.
Boy, has he been doing a lot of squirrel hunting this year. He's got one squirrel, and he has been out 3 or 4 times, because squirrel season's still in, I don't know, till the end of March, or till the 1st of March, or whatever. He's been out about half dozen times, going to different places where we know there are lots of squirrels. He ain't seen one. He heard them chatting, he heard them chewing on nuts, okay? And he saw their tracks in the snow, but he ain't seen one. Then when he did see one, he missed it twice. So, But he's been trying to get a bunch of squirrels to make some squirrel stew. So, yeah, we still are carnivorous over here in the eastern part of the country, and we still like wild game. And the only problem is there's not much of around anymore. They want $35 to go pheasant hunting, and there's not a lot of grouse around like they used to be. You want to talk about a good tasting wild bird?
Never had one of them.
Grouse. Small, maybe, depending on the person's appetite, enough for 2 people off of one bird. But, boy, are they good.
I haven't seen a pheasant in a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw somebody teach me how to put a pheasant to sleep once.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was the strangest thing I'd ever seen. Remember the old gun shop Uncle Sam's
Yeah,
up in Edinburgh?
yeah.
He used to raise like pheasants. Had a big enclosure in his out behind his shop, and then he would release them as whatever. And a guy I knew took me up there, and he went in and he caught one, and he took its head and tucked it up underneath its wing, and just up and down, a good 2 or 3 minutes, and then he laid it down again, and the turkey was sound asleep. Pheasant, I'm sorry, not turkey. Pheasant was sound asleep. And he kept saying he's going to put a pheasant to sleep. I thought he was going to kill it and we were going to eat it because I was hungry. No. He just physically made the pheasant go to sleep.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good wild game meals out there when we were doing reenactments and stuff. Yeah. You want to go out now? Cool. So long as you've been out. Come on. Bail out. So, anyway, yeah, that was Layla, folks, the Wonder Dog. All right, so we made another thing. There were messages held over. You guys gotta watch what you're saying, and I believe it was Winterborn.
That doesn't come up on my
What,
phone.
that little thing on the chat where it says this message held for review?
Yeah, I don't see any of those online.
No, maybe it's Jack. It was probably Jack because it's in light italics. It says, "Yes, Emmy, the debate was funny. He got an ass whipping." I think they're referring to Bloomingburg. In that, oh crap, can't remember where it's at. That's all right.
With that, the last one.
Wild game here is a cow that got away. Well, I'll tell you what, you could find a lot of wild game out there if you got a farmland. They're called woodchucks. You get them when they're young. They're not too bad.
I can't imagine them not tasting decent. I mean, they're herbivores.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And they're quite. They do have a lot of fat on them. So.
As with any wild game, you just how you prepare it.
Yeah. And we've had wild turkey.
I had some of that yesterday.
Not the liquid wild turkey.
Wrong one.
My mistake.
The ones that were out in the woods that died of lead poisoning. Yeah. So, anyway, well, that's enough of the bull crap. Part of the reason for the starting rants and carrying on in memory lane is because my printer ran out of ink and I didn't have the $20-some to go down and buy a new ink cartridge. And I will be probably trying to do that tomorrow after I go to the bank to double check the balance on my checkbook. Because it appears that I forgot to enter a $125 deposit, but I want to double check before I go spending any money. So, anyway, I don't know if anybody's seen this or heard this, but this is off of Newsmax, newsmax.com. By the way, they do have a TV channel and news feed on there. I have not watched it. I've run across it, but I have not watched it. I'm going to do that sometime just to see how they report these things. But Greyhound to stop allowing immigration checks on buses. Greyhound, the nation's largest bus company, said Friday it will stop allowing Border Patrol agents without a warrant to board its buses to conduct routine immigration checks. The company announcement came 1 week after the Associated Press reported on a leaked Border Patrol memo confirming that agents cannot board private buses without the consent of the bus company. Greyhound had previously insisted that even though it didn't like the immigration checks, it had no choice in federal law but to allow them. In an emailed statement, the company said it would notify the Department of Homeland Security, CI, that it does not consent to unwarranted searches on buses or in areas of the terminals that are not open to the public. In other words, bathroom, such as company officials or any area, such as company offices or any areas a person needs a ticket to access. Now, I guess I was wrong. It's not bathrooms. Greyhound said it would provide its drivers and bus station employees updated training regarding the new policy, and that it would place stickers on all its buses clearly stating that it does not consent to the searches. Our primary concern is the safety of our customers and team members. I like this. No longer employees, team members. Team members. And we want safety of our customers. But what if you got some sick, illegal alien on your bus and he contaminates all your customers? Is that safety?
No, that's beside the point.
That's beside the point. Oh, okay. Anyway, our primary concern is the safety of our customers and team members, and we are confident these changes will lead to an improved experience for all parties involved, the statement said. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which includes the Border Patrol, did not immediately return a call seeking comment. I'm getting bored with this story.
Well, I can interject something. I can just see that helping the drug smugglers.
Oh,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If they can't get on board, to search for illegals to start with, then those illegals can then bring on the drugs.
Yeah, a lot of the illegals, they're being forced to be drug mules. They're sent up all through.
Yeah.
I mean,
You run this through, or we're going to kill your mama, your papa, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, and the whole population. And you too. Greyhound has faced pressure from American Civil Liberties Union, American Communist Liberals Union, Immigrants' Rights activist, and Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson to stop allowing sweeps on buses within 100 miles to 160 kilometers of an international border or coastline in many cases. The bus being checked for not crossing or even approaching the international boundary. Critics say the practice is intimidating and discriminatory and has become more common under President Donald Trump. Border Patrol assists videotaped by other passengers have sparked criticism, and Greyhound faces a lawsuit in California, Californicators again, alleging that it violated consumer protection laws by facilitating raids. We were pleased to see Greyhound clearly communicate that it does not consent to racial profiling and harassment on its buses. Adrena Flores. I wonder you know where I'm going with that. Deputy Director of Policy for the ACLU's Equality Division said in an email, by protecting its customers and employees, Greyhound is sending a message that it prioritizes the communities it serves. That stuff goes on with a bunch of other shit, but it shows you where the people want this country to go. Okay, they don't want secure borders. What? Oh, Scott's on the thing.
Oh.
I remember the little LG something or other. Scott's on it.
When I plug in my phone.
Scott's on it. And,
I had an outlet over here. I bring my wall charger thing. I plug it straight in over here, but I don't.
well, there's a wall outlet over there.
That
Sorry.
doesn't matter.
No, it don't. It just comes up there. So, anyway, it shows where these liberal bastards in this country want to take us. They want, which goes hand in hand with what I heard this afternoon, this evening in here, Alex Jones, that they want this population to become controlled, either by getting them hooked on drugs or allowing the diseases that come in to kill the population off. Anybody that is pro-Trump or anti-liberal is a target. The unfortunate part about it out there, you liberal assholes, is that if they bring some of this stuff in and turn it loose, it is not, it does not have the ability to determine liberal from conservative, okay?
You will not discriminate.
Yeah, it's non-discriminatory, that's the word. So you can't bring a lawsuit against it because it's killing everybody. So,
Equal opportunity virus.
yeah, equal opportunity. Yeah, that's so. Anybody want to take one of these?
Well, I have a story from Braveheart that I can read.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Did y'all see that former DHS employee?
Yes, I
Who's that write a book?
Yeah.
No.
All right. Obama DHS whistleblower found dead with gunshot wound to the chest. Philip Haney, a former Department of Homeland Security DHS official during the Obama administration who blew the whistle on shortcomings within his own agency, was found dead in California on Friday with a gunshot wound to the chest, several news outlets report, citing a statement from the law enforcement. Although authorities have said the gunshot wound appears to be self-inflicted,
Right.
Yeah.
stressing that the investigation is ongoing, 66-year-old Haney had been missing since February 19th and died from a gunshot wound to his chest 2 days later, Red State and Heavy reported. Okay, gunshot wounds to the chest are uncommon in the case of suicides, data reportedly shows. Haney's death has triggered a wave of claims suggesting he may have been a victim of foul play. Echoing some of the whistleblower's friends, a number of senior congressional officials have expressed alarm to Breitbart News about this, noting that they do not believe Haney was suicidal. Law enforcement found Haney's body 40 miles east of Sacramento, California. While testifying as a whistleblower before the Senate Judiciary Committee in June 2016, Haney asserted that DHS ordered him to delete hundreds of files of people with links to Islamist terrorist groups. He argued that authorities could have prevented several terrorist attacks in the U.S. if DHS had not scrubbed specific data. The Washington Examiner learned from the Amador County Sheriff's Office that deputies and detectives responded to reports Friday morning at 10:12 a.m. of a male subject on the ground with a gunshot wound in the area of Highway 124 and Highway 16 in Plymouth, California. Upon their arrival, they located and identified 66-year-old Philip Haney, who was deceased and appeared to have suffered a single self-inflicted gunshot wound. A firearm was located next to Haney in his vehicle. This investigation is active and ongoing. No further details will be released at this time, the Sheriff's Office reported declared in the statement. Representative Steve King said Haney didn't kill himself, as claimed by law enforcement who ruled his death a suicide. Haney was in possession of an archive of information he considered an insurance policy in case he was ever found dead, King asserted. Phil Haney was a friend and patriot. He was a target because of all he knew of Islamic terrorist cover-ups. King wrote Saturday on Twitter, he ensured his life by archiving data that incriminated the highest levels of the Obama administration. Phil Haney did not kill himself. Rest in peace, Phil. All right, and it goes on to say, if I am found dead, it wasn't suicide, Haney told multiple people, confirmed by 2 anonymous sources, the NOQ report learned. One American news network reporter and veteran intelligence officer of the U.S. Navy, Jack Posobiec, suggested on Twitter that Haney's death could be a homicide. I can confirm at OANN we are investigating the suspicious death of DHS whistleblower Phil Haney. Posobiec tweeted on Saturday, we have spoken with local sources that suggest this may have been a homicide. Authorities found Haney dead ahead of his plans to publish another book exposing problems with the Obama administration, according to the Examiner. Citing unnamed sources, however, the Examiner also revealed that Haney was recently in contact with top officials about returning to work for the DHS. Additionally, Haney was engaged to be married. So, there's that.
They found his body 40 miles from
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Where did he live?
I don't know.
They didn't put where he lived?
They didn't say.
Yeah, I don't know where he lives either, because that would be an interesting thing to tear up the thought of suicide. You're not going to drive 40, 50, 60 miles somewhere and commit suicide.
Alongside the road.
Alongside the road,
chest.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just, it's quirky. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it's just weird.
Yeah. And so he was and one of the key things you said there, he was writing another book on the Obama administration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that tells you what happened.
Well, I thought it just popped into my head, we're scoffing at the idea of being self-inflicted. What happens if he was in a confrontation with somebody and a scuffle ensued and he ends up shooting himself? That could be,
Well, yeah, but then that would still be prelude to murder.
Yeah, I'm just saying, everyone hears self-inflicted, they automatically think suicide.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things that can be looked at, if accidentally self-inflicted versus.
Well, if you have a gun in your hand, and you're wrestling, you're fighting a guy, you're trying to control that weapon. You're going to get either away from the person has it, or you're going to target in such a way that you can shoot the guy. And more likely not, you're probably going to have a head shot, not a chest shot.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's just, it all seems very peculiar.
It's really unnatural, they ain't trying to shoot it.
And the other thing that makes it, they didn't say whether they found the weapon in his hand or not.
They said they found it beside him, beside the car.
Yeah.
Not on him.
Yeah. Okay.
It didn't say what kind of weapon. I'm sure it was probably a handgun, but they didn't say if it was a revolver.
If you shoot yourself and when you've got the gun turned in such a way, you really don't have good control of it. Okay? So when you fire that, the recoil, depending on the caliber, is going to flip it out of your hand because you don't have good control. And so that's why I was asking about, come on, Ma, here comes my coffee. Stop.
You just spit in it?
Yeah, I spit in it.
Oh,
I gave her an extra $1 for that.
oh, you did, huh?
Yeah.
She's not gonna stay. She's going back. I'm proud of her. She went to church today when I couldn't go, or I didn't go because of my toe. She drove herself in and back and brought everything all back in one piece.
Go, Kathy.
So it's not like the, who was that lawyer for the Hildebeest that they found in a park?
Vince Foster.
Yeah, Foster. It's not like, in his particular case, the gun was still in his hand, but there was no blood splatter pattern. Okay.
And wasn't there some quirkiness with the gun itself? Like it was like a blued revolver, but the cylinder was stainless, like it was put to.
Well, for a while there were some revolvers that were made that way. They would have a stainless cylinder.
Yeah, it was just, the article I read just
How many
seemed,
times did you shoot himself?
I think he only shot himself once. There was other, I shoot myself all the time,
I shoot myself twice a day.
daily. Right in the belly.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yes?
I hit a weight loss milestone.
You're down below 300.
I am 1 pound below 300, but
Oh,
it's
good.
below 300. That was one of my intermittent goals, was to get under 300, and I've been struggling with that.
Well, you reach plateaus as you go, and then now, once you break that plateau, you should be able to lose, I don't know how far you'll go, but you should be able to lose a few more, and then you'll hit another plateau.
Oh yeah.
Makes it a long, tedious job.
Well, the VA put me on an injectable medicine to help with that, and also I started doing some more cardio going to the gym. I was taking Saturday and Wednesday off. I was just Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but now I'm going Wednesday and Saturday, and I'm strictly doing cardio.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking to our insurance agents to double check that our policy has the silver sneakers in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does, we're going to find out which gym in town here takes silver sneakers and start going.
I can tell you, I know the Y does out there by the old Dow Kemper's Plaza, or whatever gym that is.
Yeah.
They do out there, and also at the gym I go to, they have a silver sneakers sign.
Where you
I go to it used to be called the Body Firm. Now it's
downtown?
yeah, it's right downtown,
Yeah.
above, across the street from the Academy Theater. But one of the things that you might not want to go out there is there's like a couple of flights of like pretty steep stairs to get up to the gym.
Well, the stairs don't bother me if I take them slow. But
Yeah.
yeah. I was hoping that place downtown down there in the building down there on Water Street next to Velasquez, or near Velasquez.
Oh yeah, the
I can't think of the name. I was hoping they would.
Novacare.
Yeah. I was hoping they would take it.
It might.
I wouldn't have to climb stairs, and I'll tell you the truth, I've been through that friggin' bullseye up there on top of the mountain,
Yeah, it's crazy up there.
and I do not relish the idea of trying to drive around. In order to go left, I have to go right around a circle, 3/4 the way around, and then turn off to go left. The stupidest thing I have ever fucking seen. These fucking morons need to have their brains examined and then transplanted back into the ape that they came from. Anyway.
Even apes are starting to use tools and making stuff with some amount of sense.
Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah, Jack was talking about the deep state. I do believe, Jack, that the deep state will find somebody to con into going after that $3 million hit contract that the Iranians put out there on Trump. And I figure the deep state will probably even help him in certain ways. So, just to get the job, then they'll turn on him, they'll probably kill him, suicide him, so he can't say nothing.
So how is that roundabout there working?
If you go when there's no traffic,
It's probably fine.
it's alright. But you got 4 lanes coming in, or 2 lanes coming in from one side, and they have 2 lanes going around the circle. Now, technically what you're supposed to do if you're going to go around to the other side like I wanted to do, you're supposed to take the center lane,
Yeah, inside.
okay? And leave the outside lane for those who are just going around to one turn. But the only problem is, if you get into the center lane during the busy hours, how are you going to get over there unless you got a tank and run over somebody? So I think we all need to go out and start buying surplus tanks.
That's a fine idea. You need a tank.
Yes.
Good Lord.
And,
Oh, I pissed off an anti-gunner at work the one day.
Good.
Oh, Jesus.
Good. Did she go get a gun?
No. I was talking about, he was going on and on about, gun control. People don't need to go out and be able to buy a tank. I'm like, he's like, I think you can buy a tank anytime you want. What are you talking about? I'm like, a tank is essentially a bulldozer, a lot of paneling.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought a tank, you're not going to be able to get the bullets for it. You may have a big barrel, but it's not like you can go to Walmart and say, yeah, give me a couple of 80 millimeter or Sable rounds.
Or 105 Sable rounds.
And he was so irritated that I completely he's like, what, buying a tank? You can buy a tank anytime you want.
I'd like to have some white phosphorus rounds for it. That's what I'd like to have.
Please. Anyway.
First we block the tank.
Yeah, but you're right. You can go buy a bulldozer, and it's basically the same thing. The tank just has the driver's compartment protected, okay, and then has a couple guns mounted on it. So if you put a bulldozer blade in the front of it, it's going to...
Well, there was that guy, 15, 20 years ago that he had been having problems with the local
Town official.
the townspeople, and he had a muffler shop and a welding shop, and he wanted to, he didn't want to expand his business, but he wanted to run his business, and then this big, I think a cement company came in and bought all the adjacent property.
Tried
to buy him out. He's like, no, this is mine. And what they ended up doing was they cut off, because they owned the property, like all the way around him, they cut off all sewage and water. So essentially his business, he was losing all kinds of money. So what he did was he had this, he had all the fabricating equipment. He built a cover, and he put gun mounts, and he put cameras, and he had a ventilation system. He did everything but put a big gun barrel. And when he decided that today was the day, he lowered the cap, the armor that he made over top of the tank, or over top of the track vehicle. So he was never getting out. He knew full well when he decided to leave that that was his Alamo. And he went driving through buildings and tearing shit up, and he did something at one of the tracks broke, and he couldn't go any farther, and the cops were able to get up in there and kill him. But yeah, I watched a big video on it on YouTube. It was...
No, if you're going to have to go out, you might as well take as much or destroy as much as you
Oh,
can.
he did too, and they have it all on camera. They have choppers following him, and he went after all the city people and the businesses that screwed him over.
Well,
Don't piss off somebody who ain't got nothing left to lose.
That's right. Now, when they bought all that property, he became landlocked. He still has the right of egress onto his property. They have to allow him.
Well, he could get on his property, but because of the way the water lines and the sewer lines went through...
When they were cutting all the water and sewer lines off, they cut his off.
Yep.
Yeah. And instead of them making allowances just to put a T in so he could...
He tried that. He was going through the council and all that. That's what pissed him off so much.
Well, they wouldn't do it. The council was getting bought off by the cement company.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
When you start seeing stuff like this, you follow the money and you find out what's going on. The cement company wanted the property, and they got a hold of the town council, and they bribed those bastards on the town council so that they would put pressure on the water and sewer authority to shut the water off on him too, and not make any special arrangements to hook him up. Okay? So they were bought off.
Well, at the very least, they were pressured by...
But since he's dead, he was suicided by cop. Well, he wasn't suicided, he was murdered by the cops. Then there's nobody left to file a lawsuit against the town council and the police department and the cement company for wrongful death.
Yep.
So, yeah, welcome to free in America. As long as you have money to resist those that are trying to take over, you shall be free. All the money you got, there you go.
Here you go, Mr. Steve.
Here's Braveheart. Search Killdozer on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're out there, go, well, we're on YouTube now, but later after the show or whatever, go to YouTube. Yeah, did you see where Hildebeest, Bloomberg said he didn't think he wanted Hildebeest as his vice president candidate?
Gee, I wonder why.
There's one of the former advisors for President Clinton has come out with his own theory as to what is going to transpire because of all his theory is that what's going to happen is that they're going to have a brokered convention because there's so many people there's so many candidates getting some delegates but not a lot, that what he feels is going to happen is they're going to end up brokering and they're going to pick Hillary to be their. Mind you, it's just his theory, and he's a political insider, and he knows all about that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just can't imagine.
I got World Net Daily up on the screen here.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, picks Hillary as for running mate.
No,
Well, I'm saying that, but I mean, you might as well figure out that they're going to be
You only
a
have
sudden death,
Yeah.
or suicide.
You're gonna get that sudden death syndrome. SIDS. And God, this. Has anybody ever paid attention to this shift and look at his eyes?
Oh,
he's Barney Fife all over again.
Oh, he looks like his eyes are about to pop out, or he's got a good hard turd that he can't get out. You know, he's
Well,
not.
it's my suspicion that Nancy Pelosi put some sort of device on his testicles, and whenever he's getting out of line, she puts a little zap to it, and
And his eyes just light up.
somebody.
In other words, he's a Pelosi neon sign.
I'll read this quick little ditty. This is nice. This is titled "College Students: White People Should Avoid Coming to Multicultural Center." Okay. Numerous students at the University of Virginia recently affirmed in on-camera interviews that the school's Multicultural Center, lately the site of a contentious incident in which a young woman publicly criticized white students for studying there, should largely remain a space for non-white community members. Last week, video surfaced of a black female student delivering a public service announcement in the middle of UVA's recently opened Multicultural Student Center. The student declared that there were just too many white people in the center, that it was made to be a space for people of color, and that non-white students in the center were made uncomfortable by the presence of white people there. Young America's Foundation spokeswoman Kara Zupkus went to UVA's grounds this week to interview students about the proposal for white people should avoid the Multicultural Center. YAF had originally publicized a video of the incident leading to its going viral.
You know what's funny about that? All these years, the blacks are out there campaigning for desegregation, and now that it was starting to work, now all of a sudden they're going back the other way. They want their own segregation. They want their own country. And
We got coffee.
yeah, I got coffee. They want their own. Basically, they want their own country. So I say let's give them a piece of land somewhere. Say out in the middle of the Mojave Desert, so that make them feel like they're back home in their ancestral land.
I'm saying give them all. California seems to hate the United States.
Yeah.
Hate being a part of it. Give them all California,
Yeah,
or at least the bottom half. There you go.
yeah,
You can have Hollywood and all the rest of it.
yeah. Holiday scum. Well, I was watching some old movies.
Daryl,
And,
that seems so unlike you.
yeah. Hey, I try to keep up on stuff.
Just takes you a little while to get caught up.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff to get caught up. I mean, this is 2020. That means there's at least 2020 years worth of stuff to be from when Christ was born or whatever that you gotta learn. But in the early days of trying to get California into the Union as a state, there was a couple efforts for people to divide the state and make it two states, the northern half and the southern half. And the southern half wanted to come in as a slave state, and the northern half wanted to come in as a non-slave state. I saw that on, for what it's worth, I saw that on History Channel. I'm beginning to even dislike the documentations that the History Channel is putting on because they are getting so inaccurate on the increments of the military for the particular wars they're fighting. And plus they're rewriting history and saying the UN did this in World War II, which was 3 years before the UN was even thought of. And what was that you were going to say?
I remember seeing somebody posted on one of the Facebook sites of mine something about the year was like 1942 or 43, and it talked about the United Nations. Whoa. There wasn't the United Nations.
No,
What's it, what, League of Nations? Was that-
no, League of Nations went defunct.
Oh, okay.
It would be the Allies and the Axis.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, I can't recall the exact terminology, but no, exactly. But this is like the United Nations in 42, 43, there was no organization called the United Nations. It might have been the Allies, the Western Allies in particular, but there's no United Nations organization.
Yeah. The League of Nations was the first attempt to bring in the New World Order, okay? But it failed dismally because you had a couple assholes come up that didn't, their version of the New World Order was for them to be in control of the world. Stalin, Hitler, and Mussolini, and then Japan, Japanese military. So the League of Nations fell apart. World War II was the second attempt to get people to accept one world government because of what went on with the war. So that's when they brought in the United Nations. So now they have, every time a country decides it doesn't want to be a member of the New World Order through the United Nations, they end up in a conflict in which then UN troops get sent in to keep them under control. Vis-a-vis Vietnam, Saudi, Korea, okay, all those. Even Grenada to a certain extent. Yeah, all these little brush fires have been have been secretly in the name of helping to instill the New World Order under the UN, because the UN would be the figurehead, so to speak, to the administration of the New World Order under the dictates of the 7 richest families in the world. Now, that may be...
Isn't that why Saddam Hussein pretty much got himself in all the trouble, because he wanted to back out of the petrodollar and...
Yeah, he wanted to go on his own, and
he was a lunatic anyhow.
Unless he would allow the banking industry to come in and do a central bank for Iraq. And then, yeah, of course, they're like, well, he's a threat to his own population, to these Gads and the Kurds.
well, he was doing the same thing that Adolf Hitler and the Nazis or the Russians were doing, an ethnic cleansing. Okay.
How many Armenians were killed?
Yeah.
Over a million.
Yeah. Okay. Another case of ethnic cleansing, because you get a hard-headed dictator and for some reason these people seem to have this ability to subconsciously what's the word?
Mesmerized.
Mesmerize their population to allow them to get away with doing what they're doing. Whereas in a normal situation, they would probably not do that. Adolf Hitler had it.
That's all the idiots that voted for Obama.
Yeah,
They got mesmerized.
yeah. And we're still paying for that.
Yeah.
Obama trying to... we have a story here where Obama tried to take credit. He's trying to take credit for the economy growing like it is, but we don't have time to do that for right now. We'll take a break, and then we'll take a break, and I'll come back with the gun shows, and then we will do some more stories. Thank you for listening to Braveheart Rodeo, Beeville, Pennsylvania.
Hello, boys and girls.
Are you sure they're boys and girls?
Good evening, general neutral audience.
Okay. All right, folks, let's get on the roll here. I'm going to do the gun shows, and then we're going to get back into the meat and potatoes. How do you like your steak? Well done? Medium rare?
Medium.
Medium rare?
That's medium.
Yeah? Medium rare. Yeah. You want some hot sauce for it?
A1.
A1 hot sauce? Yeah. What about your potatoes? Boiled, fried, French fried?
I don't like many potatoes.
You don't like any potatoes?
I like them fried, as long as they're small and crunchy.
Mhm.
Baked potatoes, I don't like them. Mashed potatoes, can't stomach them, can't eat them. Boiled potatoes, no.
Now, mashed potatoes, I understand that if you don't have good gravy to put on them.
It's a textural thing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yuck.
Oh, jeez,
Yuck.
I can't stomach them.
Yuck.
Ugh. Oi!
Yuck off.
All right, what do you got going on with gun shows?
Oh,
What is that question?
okay. Next weekend, I don't have the flyer down here, but next weekend, that's this Friday and Saturday, or this Saturday and Sunday, coming up, Elwood City, down in Harlansburg, PA. I don't have the map here, so I cannot tell you exactly how to get it. You just go down Route 19. If you're from Meadville, go down Route 19, once you get past the bullseye up there. And you follow it down there about 40, maybe 50 miles, and you'll come to
Route 108.
yeah, Route 108, and at that corner there is a railroad car museum.
Yeah, turn right.
Turn right and go up over the hill.
Yeah, west toward Newcastle.
Yeah, go up over the hill. What is it, about a mile and a half?
Yeah, not that far.
Yeah, it ain't that far. It's not hard to find. Just do the simple route. Or you can Google it, and it'll take you down by Washington, D.C. and back up.
Or you can fly down 79 to the
Yeah,
Route 108 exit.
yeah. Yeah, you can do that too.
So, I'm marked that way.
Yeah, well, this way we give them a couple things, you know. Anyway, then
But as you,
I will.
by the way, if you have a concealed carry permit, do not, repeat, do not carry a loaded gun into that gun show.
No, that's Scott Township.
Oh, excuse me. Oh.
Yeah,
Scott
Scott Township.
Sorry, Maryland.
Yeah, wrong one. This is Elwood City. The directions for Scott Township are just about the same. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You got the right,
Now that's March 21st and 22nd.
oh, this is, no, this goes on Hollywood Road. That's one,
Yeah.
that's Route 108. This is the one in March. You're talking the one next week.
That's why I tell people go down 19.
Oh, well, okay, well.
They would come to the Railroad Museum down there, which is about 40 or 50 miles down there, and then make your right. I don't think it's 108, maybe it's 428. But anyway.
If you go down 19 to 108, that's for the Harlingsburg one.
Yeah,
And later on March. Okay.
yeah. So, now, the week after that, March the 7th and 8th, 7th and 8th, I will be at the Hickory Post VFW in Hermitage, PA, U.S. Route 62, east of PA 18,
By 2 miles.
west of Mercer on 62,
By 9 miles.
by 9 miles. That's March the 7th and 8th. I will be there. The next one, there is, I wonder where that went. Rocky Grove. Rocky Grove comes up the 14th and 15th. And Rocky Grove Fire Hall. Somehow I lost that one. Well, anyway, Rocky Grove Fire Hall. Rocky Grove, PA, which is right next to Franklin, PA. So a lot of you people out there locally know how to find it because you've been there before. And if not, you can Google it. It may end up in a little city, but you can Google it. March the 28th and 29th. I have to call and see if I can get tables here. For Hidden Valley Sportsman's Club, March the 27th and 29th. There is, let's see how many tables, it doesn't say how many tables, okay. Some people say it's a pretty good show. I've been there. So anyway, the best way to find it is Google it up, because they got a map here and they got directions from 4 different places, and I'm not gonna read it. And anyway, that's March the 28th and 29th. I don't have tables, but I'm gonna try and get there. Then Ashtabula County Fairgrounds, April the, whoops, that's first, here, yeah, okay. Also, March the 21st and 22nd is the Scott Township. I forgot to put that in there. That's the same time as Harbor Creek. I will be up in Harbor Creek. I won't go to this one here. Main reason I won't go is because they're not allowing people, even with ferry permits, to come in. Kill that show, people. Don't go.
I am in that one.
Yeah. Now, April the 18th and 19th at the Ashtabula County Fairgrounds in Jefferson, Ohio. 127 North Elm Street, Jefferson, Ohio. That's April the 19th, 18th and 19th. I will unfortunately not be there due to a screw up on my part, because I will be at my own show April the 18th and 19th at Cherry Tree Township Volunteer Fire Department, Cherry Tree Road, Titusville, PA. If you're coming in from Meadville, you go over 27 until you come to Cherry Tree Road, which is just after you start going down the hill into Titusville to your right. If you're coming down from north or south, you can come up Route 8 and get off at Buxton Road at Cross Creek Country Club. You make a left, and then you go down there to the old abandoned school and make a right. Well, it's not abandoned, it's being used for something else. But former school, yeah, former school. Well, if you're coming down north, you can go into Titusville and then get 27 and turn out and come down Cherry Tree and avoid all that other stuff. But anyway, it's not complicated, and that's what I got lined up through there. And I imagine now that the shows are getting close, that as I go to some of these other ones, I will probably pick up a few more. Hopefully 1 or 2 more. And hopefully I can raise the $1,800 that I need to pay off the balance of my taxes. Which brings me to another plea. I need some help. I was just telling Mr. T and Scott in the background here during the break that I had run out of wood. So I had to burn just the electric furnace for about almost 2 full months. In that time period, before I could get some wood dried enough to burn, I pay $156 budget on my electricity. But that would be a little over $300 for 2 months. But I used $600 worth of electricity to heat my house for those 2 months. So if I could get some help, I would appreciate it. The money will go. Basically, I'm going to try and take care of the electric bill on my own, but if I get any help, all that money is going to go to the property tax, because I'm a little pissed. I just got a notice in the mail this week from the county assessment office. They raised my property tax evaluation of my property. It was valuated at $5,800. They now have it valued at $6,500.
Why?
Didn't say. Probably because I repaired my driveway out there. Okay.
The gravel.
Yeah. Took the gravel. Well, that's gravel. It's just hard gravel.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hard gravel.
Yeah, it's hardened gravel. But anyway, I'm gonna have to go down and march down there and kick somebody's ass. Probably end up in jail, but I've been there before, so it don't scare me. But if they raise it by that amount, I'm figuring $700. That's about 1/5. Okay. So if they raise the valuation of my property by 1/5, if I'm paying $2,800 a year in property tax, so you take 1/5 of $2,800, and how much does that raise your property tax? See, that's $200 per thousand. So I'm looking at possibly a $1,000 increase in my taxes.
Jesus.
No, 1/5. I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I know my county is going to raise. The new commissioners came in, they looked at the budget, and the old county commissioners made an error.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, there's this income that's not guaranteed. Therefore, to make sure the county has that guaranteed income, the county budget went up by 90,000 What was it? I'm sorry, $900,000. So everybody's taxes up. Mine's gonna be.
See, Winterbourne is posting my address. Thank you, Winterbourne. I appreciate that. The only problem with those gun shows, Emmy, is I'm only putting on one. So, unless you want to come over to be one of them Hooter girls, that's really not going to happen, because that's the Cherry Tree Township. That's the one I'm putting on. So, you could come over and give us a helping hand. Because who's going to go to work for me, an old fart like I am, Hooter girls? Besides that, the wife would probably take a machete and hack me. Then I'd be like that guy, what was his name? Bobbitt.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks for putting my address out there. And like I said, folks, I'm not desperate, but I am getting desperate. And crap, every time I friggin' turn around, something's going on with my feet, my diabetes, and whatever. Someday I'm going to die, then I won't have to worry. But until then, I have to try and make things work. Okay, who's got something next now? Which one of you Hoosers?
Me. Walk.
You. Him. This guy over here. T. Fire when ready, Gridley.
And I alluded to before the break. Trump fired back at Obama's con job. President Day claimed his help from James Woods, for that bill. For Barack Obama and his deluded fans, these truths have to hurt. Obama's President Day Twitter post claimed credit for the humming U.S. economy 3 years after he left office, and infuriated millions of Americans who wasted no time flying back on social media. It was President Donald Trump, the American in the Oval Office who replaced Obama, who had overseen an economic turnaround, who had the best perspective. And Obama's con job was not fooling anyone. The United con job, Trump wrote on his TV Twitter post, President Obama is now trying to take over for the economic boom taking place under the Trump administration. He had the weakest recovery since the Great Depression, despite zero Fed rate and massive quantitative easing. Now, best job numbers ever, had to rebuild the military, which was totally depleted. Federal rate up, taxes and regulations way down. The Dems won in 2016. USA would be in a big economic depression, the military go right now. The rest of you have to come keep your grid. The quote best is yet to come has been from my terminus presidency in the 2020 election. far cry from the doom and gloom messaging in the Obama years, where fatalistic acceptance of American decline as economic and political power was accepted as the norm. The reality of the economy today, with low unemployment and rising wages, demonstrates the lie Obama and his acolytes in the mainstream media are trying to peddle. As conservative commentator Liz Peek noted in the piece in The Hill as far back as January 2018, the National Economic Survey by the Wall Street Journal were giving Trump, not Obama, credit for the improving economy. In the journal article, the Economist said Trump's emphasis on deregulation and tax cuts in 2017 would ignite continued growth after the malaise of the Obama years. That was dated January 11, 2018, less than a year after Trump's inauguration in 2017. It is now 2020, and that growth has continued, and Obama wants to take credit for it? Question mark. No sensible person would buy that. Except the Democrats. And conservative actor James Woods is more sensible than us. The outspoken Woods, who signed in politics making a part of the greater bleeding Hollywood, took Twitter money to blast Obama's spurious claims. And he did with Obama's own words, as he was allowed to report back in June 2016, before Trump was even the official GOP nominee. Obama mocked Trump's plan for a rejuvenated economy as the aim of anti-black. Woods' tweet, you let me read that. The notion that you did anything but destroy the economy is beyond your utterance. Woods wrote, addressing Obama. Those jobs never came back. What's he going to do? Will he mention one? Yes! Trump did exactly that. The only sad legacy was your blatant lies about Obamacare. And on the more than 90,000 Twitter users who liked Woods' post among the more than 90,000 Twitter users who liked Woods' post was Senator Ted Cruz, the Texas Republican that was Trump's last challenger for the 2016 Republican nomination, and became one of the president's biggest supporters on Capitol Hill. His response was simple and to the point, damn straight. That summed up pretty clearly. Barack Obama can cling to whatever fantasies he chooses about his digital presidency. Whether rival Jimmy Carter's 1970 fiasco for the worst administrations in history. Sort of reminder, Jimmy Carter withdrew his the U.S. support for the Shah of Iran. Now, the Shah wasn't a very good guy. He thought clause working with peace game. But he kept Iran and the Muslim mullahs and stuff in check. Okay, kept them under control. Okay, when Carter withdrew his support, the Shah fell, and now we have Obama run by the Islamic extremists that have got us into so much, caused so much problem in the world that we know today. Anyway, where was it? Oh yes. In fact, Trump's description of the country as Hillary Clinton had won in 2016, the USA would be in big economic depression and military trouble right now. It will sound awfully familiar to Americans to remember how awful the car years were. Again, Carter laid the groundwork for what we faced in the Middle East by withdrawing his support from the Shah of Iran. Saddam Hussein, the Shah, Saddam Hussein was the guy who stood against the Iranian
stood against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, the guy I can't. What's his name?
Ayatollah Khomeini.
So he kept the riot check, and what did we do? We got rid of him. That was a good move. Anyway.
We've done that all throughout history, though. Depose somebody we put in power.
Well,
even after they outlived their usefulness.
his name escaped me. The president of South Vietnam, he was conservative, but who was considered by the administration at that time to be a warmonger. And he got rid of him. And that caused more problems than what it was. Anyway, where was I here? Okay. Democrats and media can pretend that what looks like grass and empty and steps towards socialism was really Obama laying the foundation for the vibrant economy the United States sees today. But it's hogwash. Many Americans who watch the economy growing, who've seen family and neighbors return to the workforce, and be able to get back to work themselves knows it. Obama and the mainstream media can milk the latest con job while it's worth. But the truth is staring Americans straight in the face. And for Obama has to lose fans, the truth is after her. And that concludes his article.
We've been seeing information before this story come out. I've been seeing on the internet hints that Obama was trying to claim responsibility for the improvement of the economy and such, therefore, whatever. And we all know it was a bold-faced lie, and there's so many other things right now, and I'm drawing a blank. There's so many other things that he's trying to claim credit for. But something to note that I want to bring out, what's the name of the Muslim lady from, is it Wisconsin or Michigan? Omar?
I can't believe is the one, Russia, I believe is one from Minnesota.
Yeah. So she must be from Michigan. Well, anyway, the information has come out that is being confirmed by people along with the documents to confirm it, that she divorced her first husband so that she could marry her brother to gain him citizenship to the United States. Okay, and as far as I know, she still hasn't divorced him, but she had a couple of babies or kids by her first husband that she divorced. And if that is true, is this the type of people you want representing you in Washington? I mean, look at the occasional Cortez up there from New York. The stuff that's starting to come out from her. She can't live on the salary that she's getting from the Congress for her job in Congress. Well, how much was she getting as a bartender? She seemed to be doing okay when she was a bartender. Okay, so now that you're a congressman, you're probably getting more and you can't live on that? Well, that's too bad. It tells me you're doing something wrong. And,
I have an odd question.
fire.
Just popped into my head. Say, it's all hypothetical, obviously. Say, for instance, that former President Obama ran as a vice president. Let's say under Joe Biden. Just throwing that out there. And Joe Biden won, making him the president and then the vice president. And then something happened that Joe Biden couldn't be the president anymore. He's already done his 8 years. Would it go to the next person down, or would they have...
No, he would step back in because he had a hiatus of whatever number of years.
But I thought once you did your 2 terms, you weren't allowed to...
2 terms in a row. I think it's 2 terms in a row.
I was under the impression it was 2 terms altogether.
And that's a good
Well,
question.
actually, yeah, well, that came about, 2 terms would be your maximum. But that would be an interesting question. How would you...
If he couldn't, then that would be whoever the Speaker of the House would be, because that's who's next in line.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Pelosi.
Well, sure.
I'm just saying, it just popped into my head, if he's
Well, then, if that's
wanting
the
to take
case-
credit for...
If that's the case, he could not be nominated for his vice presidency.
Yeah, that would... It would
Okay.
seem...
He would not be able to become vice president because he has served his 2 terms as president, because of the simple fact that if something happened to the president, he would step in, which then would violate the 2-term limit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so technically I would assume that the assholes in Washington would have thought that all out before they put up the amendments to put a two-term limit on them. But who knows? Because I know they were trying to figure out a way to run them for a third term. And,
Yeah, it's just as weird. I don't.
well, that's a good point. It's a good point because that opens up the door for many things as to what happens. Just like Bloomberg. Rumor has it that Hildebeest was trying to get to be his VP candidate. Well, we all know because she was so dead set on winning the election to become president, to be the first woman to become president.
Very loosely.
Yeah. Okay. To become president, that it would not be because of the history of the associated so-called suicides or the Arkancides showed with them.
Let me quote it, after the election, okay, something will happen, Bloomberg will die. It'll be suicide, and then Hillary takes over. Well, had the inauguration, Bloomberg got president, Hillary's going as vice president, and then Bloomberg, maybe he trips and falls down the stairs of the White House, breaks his neck. There's a help falling down the steps of the Great District. And it's an accident. But it was in the White House at the time. She did not do it. She was sworn in. But then who would be your vice president? Who would be her husband?
The thing here, Omar had sexual congressions with one of her campaign workers who will not step down, no shame. And Canada says Obama would be serving the remainder of the president's term. Okay, but then he would not be allowed to run for re-election after that either. So, but the fact of him getting him in there, yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but that would get him back in there. So if there's any Obamas that get in there, it'll be Michelle, better known as Michelle. Then Obama would get back in the White House as first husband. Yeah, it gets convoluted, but I'm looking at the scenario that if Bloomberg gets the nomination and could bring in enough votes and he got the election and he had Hildebeest as his running mate, that shortly after he took office, not only they would not knock him off because he's doing what they want him to do, that he would claim because of the questions about his health that the strain on his health is making it too great for him to continue on as president. And yeah.
He goes with the Fed, the Fed is where he gets
Annual physical, yeah.
And I went to Bethesda today and I was told for reasons of health I should resign the presidency and give it to Hillary. So
Yeah.
as of tomorrow, noon,
Effective noon tomorrow, 12:01.
I'll be leaving the White House the last time.
I read an article today, and this is just a theory by, I was looking for the guy's name, I can't find the story now, but apparently he was one of the senior advisors for President Clinton. I forget his name. And his theory is, what they're trying to do, them being the DNC, is they're trying to keep the amount of delegates that each one of these candidates get, keeps it low enough so that there will be a brokered convention.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to end up appointing Hillary to be their candidate because, they'll do all of their shenanigans at the convention. They won't get enough delegates for anyone, and they'll be able to pick who they want. And the people behind the scenes, the powers that be, will pick Hillary because she's one of the few people that has the the bridges to go against Trump.
Well-
We saw how that went the first time around.
Which is another case of showing the American people that your vote don't count. Okay, now some of these conventions are caucuses, okay, but some of them are like our primary election, okay, where you go in and if you're a Democrat, you vote for what candidate you want, you're Republican, you vote for what candidate you want. But what they're doing is they're overriding that because they're not allowing enough delegates, as you say, to get the necessary numbers. I don't know how many it takes for them to get the
And then
nomination.
they throw in all the super delegates, which I don't understand any of that shit.
Yeah.
And the Republicans already didn't have
Yeah.
it.
The super delegates are the ones that just have more money. I don't know. You know.
More influence.
Yeah, but
I'm worth killing you. I'm super.
yeah. So my vote counts double because I'm a super delegate. Yeah, I got the red cape with S for stupid. Yeah. So
That would be SD super delegate.
if you got enough.
Oh, I got plenty. I
Yeah,
got my water purse.
Bought your water purse. I've been.
It's actually hooch. I'm sorry.
That's what I said. I can smell the alcohol in it.
I got a cold.
That's just coming out of my
You
system.
got a cold? You want to smell?
One of my grandchildren gave it to me. I'm pretty sure it's one. I'm pretty sure I know which one. I won't mention it.
Rotten little petri dishes anyhow.
Actually, they're.
Oh, speaking of being sick, I saw a funny meme on the Facebook machine. I'm sure everybody that goes on Facebook or would have seen it. It was a mock-up of a personal ad. It says, "Man with coronavirus seeking woman with Lyme disease."
Yes, I saw that.
It made me snigger a little bit.
Yeah, this, if anybody was listening to our Genesis with Alex Jones before we started our show, this coronavirus has got a lot of twists and turns. Trump, that's what I wanted to bring up. Trump was pissed off because these people that were infected with coronavirus were being brought into the United States and he was not being informed. Okay? And so he was pissed off about it because now they have...
That was on the cruise ship, wasn't it?
Yeah, the cruise ship. And now they're finding there was a lady that had the coronavirus and then was deemed cured, but then about a week after being released, she come down with it again. Okay, so we are not doing any preliminary testing in this country. We're not making any preparations whatsoever other than what's going on with the different quarantine hospitals that have the quarantine wards or the military bases that have the ability to take care of that. And basically what they were saying, those facilities are now full.
Which, just recently, the Army in particular made a determination that retirees and family members of active duty military members will not be seen at hospitals anymore. They must go to veterans who need the VA facility and the family members, military veterans, or the military, sorry, military, who go to the local hospitals. Now, that came out before the coronavirus, or COVID-19 hit the scene. Well, they try to get people out of these places before these folks come in. You know, oh, I was in China, okay, quarantine. Awfully peculiar there as far as timing.
Well, you know, this just goes to say, not that the country needs to be an isolationist, but this wanton free travel overseas has to be regulated. Not that I believe in regulations, okay? Because you go over to countries that have diseases that have been supposedly licked in the United States. You go over there and you get sick with one of them. You come back. You don't know what it is until after you got it. Until after you get back here, and then vis-a-vis what happens? It spreads. Okay, the measles. For crying out loud, the measles in this country were practically non-existent. Only an average of 300 cases a year. Now they're what, 3,500, 4,000 cases a year, but we have all these illegals coming across the border, and now Braveheart won't allow the Border Patrol to search
Now
them.
they can carry the disease further into the country.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. You see, all this is being done
To kill us all.
because the Democratic Party wants to have the conservatives, vis-a-vis Trump's and other conservatives, wants them eliminated so that the more liberal thinking people who are inclined to go with the communist philosophy will be able to take over. So they were telling you, start watching for, they call it medical martial law. I don't know what that details, but medical martial law will probably be declared because of a medical emergency, because of a pandemic that has broken out, in which case you will not be allowed to travel or move or go anywhere except stay in your own home or whatever. And if you don't have enough food and stuff to take care of yourself, too bad. Because the powers that be, they have the food to take care of them so that they can survive. So is this conspiracy theory? Conspiracy minded? Yeah. But if you pay attention over the years as to how many confounded so-called conspiracies turned out to be true. Okay? So you have to be forever vigilant. And got something, Scott?
Yes.
Fire away.
Okay. Oh, I was just scrolling through my Facebook, and Glenn Beck, if you want to check out his site, he has on the Blaze, apparently Greyhound hit with boycott calls over shock decision to stop immigration cooperation.
Yes.
Consequences. Actions have consequences. That's what he's calling it. I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's what, when we were doing the story about that, I was going to make that mention. Boycott Greyhound. There are a couple other bus lines out there. Trailways comes to mind, but boycott Greyhound because they're not wanting to help protect you from mischief or illness, mayhem. Okay. So you need to
but you can read that out loud if you want.
Okay, Scotty just handed me a thing here because we were talking about coffee during halftime break. Decaffeinated coffee is like a hooker who only wants to cuddle. I don't know if you can see it or not.
I don't like coffee. I prefer it in one of the Rockstar energy drinks.
Well, I don't know. I guess I grew up in the generation where when you went to the Navy, you got coffee because they got you up so damn early in the morning. You went out and did all your calisthenics, and then you went to different classes and that.
You needed coffee.
And you needed coffee to stay awake because they just worked your ass off. And I got used to the Navy coffee with just a drop of diesel fuel in it. Okay? I can't find any coffee that says it's got a drop of diesel fuel in it for all you Navy vets out there, but you know, it's something to think about if you're a coffee producer.
Navy vet coffee.
I don't know what
99 parts coffee, 1 part.
diesel fuel.
I don't know what they called it in the Navy, but in the Army they always called it lifer juice.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't call it lifer juice. We called it Mud Joe.
Oh yeah, there's a whole number.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
A lot of it just depended on who's drinking it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It depended on the area you're at when you're doing it. You pick up the slang for it at the different places.
Yeah.
And but there was also here's mud in your eye.
Well, you know, you just had military coffee, you want to stir it, and your spoon just sits there, standing by itself.
That's good coffee. That's the way it's supposed to be. The spoon stands up, boy. And of course you gotta get it out of there quick, because then the spoon might dissolve.
Coffee's horrible. Ever heard of that monkey poop coffee? Also known as civet coffee? Not civic, civet. C-I-V-E-T. There is a little monkey type creature, I think it's Amazonian. It eats these wild coffee beans, and it passes through the system, and the coffee, I think they call it coffee nut, is pooped out. And there are people that go and they collect these, and they clean them up, and then they sell it. Apparently it's the most expensive coffee on the planet. It's called civet coffee.
Double refined.
Yeah. But I saw a...
There'd be a better way to do that.
Yeah, and he put on here, my generation is a cup of coffee and a smoke. Well, I don't know how old you are there, any. And I really don't know. I really don't want to know how old you are, but if you want to tell us, that's fine, because you might be the same generation. But like I say, I drink coffee at home, and you know, this is what I'm getting off the subject. My dad, we used to have percolators where the coffee would come up, boil, and the coffee bubbles would come up through the top and down over the coffee, and just keep, percolating it.
Yeah.
Okay, instead of pouring it and letting it drip down through there.
Bubble thing on top.
Yeah. Watch it.
Okay.
He's going pa-choo, pa-choo, pa-choo. And when you poured that out, it was boiling temperature. My dad could sit down and take that cup of boiling hot coffee and drink it without hesitation. I get the coffee out of my coffee maker up here.
Let it cool.
Okay, and gotta let it cool a little bit. And it's not bubbling when it comes out. It don't bubble in the pot, So, but yeah, he could drink that just almost like it was a glass of water. I always envied him being able to do that, because I gotta cool mine down. But anyhow, maybe that's me. Maybe with the way he was raised, that's him.
Did he ever chew tobacco?
No.
I was wondering maybe the nerve endings in his mouth were shot from
No,
tobacco.
he didn't. Even if your nerve endings are shot, you drink something or put something that's too hot in your mouth, and you get blisters inside your mouth because it burned it. And no, he didn't. He occasionally, very rarely, but occasionally he would have a cigar. And when he retired from the railroad, he would have a shot of ginger brandy. That was his favorite little alcohol in that. So
I like to read this story.
Well,
I'll
please
read
do.
that story.
All because it deals with something I was on Facebook. I was on Facebook with a guy before. I got spent my 30 days in the gulag again.
Did you get an honorable discharge?
Actually, both my pages were released this morning, about 0900. So, anyway, we got lots of things I gotta check. But anyway, we got into a little argument about China being a threat. And he, no, we're trading partners. Well, they can't be a threat to us. Well, anyway. I came across the article today. Here comes 1984. China's regime is a threat to the world. The Chinese Communist government, the folks that Bernie Sanders likes to talk about, Communist Sanders, increasingly poses a threat not just to its own 1.4 billion citizens, but to the world at large. China is currently in a dangerously chaotic state. And why not? When a pretty modern authoritarian society leaps wildly into the brave new world of high-tech science in a single generation, the Chinese technological revolution is overseen by a Orwellian dictatorship. Predictably, the Chinese Communist Party has not developed the social, political, or cultural infrastructure to ensure that its sophisticated industrial and biological research does not go rogue and become destructive to itself and to the way of people who are on the importing end of Chinese products and protocols, like us. Yes. Central Party officials run the government, military, media, and universities collectively in a manner reminiscent of the science fiction board organism of Star Trek, which was a horde of robot-like entities under control of the central mind. 40 years ago, American pundits began gushing over Chinese sudden leap from horse-drawn power to solar, wind, and nuclear energy. The Chinese government, whoa, Westerners. They created from nothing high-speed rail, solar farms. And new Western trained Chinese scientists were soon conducting sophisticated medical and scientific research. They often did so rapidly without prying regulators, nosy elected officials, and bothersome citizen lawsuits that often burden American and European scientists. Okay. They China instantly rich and modern, the Communist hierarchy is the same government that once caused the death of some 6 million innocents under Mao. They ignored property rights, they crushed individual freedom, they embraced secrecy, and bulldozed over any who stood in his way. They're just shot him. In such manner, the silly American pundits once praised Benito Mussolini's fascist effort to modernize the Prussian-era Italy. Fascism under Mussolini became what Hitler turned to Nazism. Anyway, many natives in the West praise China only because many natives, understanding, you can say, liberals and the stupid, or the so-called well-educated in the West praise China only because they wish that their own countries could recalibrate so quickly and efficiently, especially in service to green agendas. But the world is learning that China is not just move mountains for new dams or bulldoze ancient neighborhoods that stand in the path of high-speed rail. In California, they just burn people out. For high-speed rail. Anyway, we also get the outbreak and the mysterious origins of the deadly coronavirus for his own people and the rest of the planet as well. By the way, it's called also now called COVID-19, which I didn't just finish reading the article. It comes from the Bible. Anyway, okay, that's it. Okay, a more dangerous replay of a sort of effort to mask the spread of the SARS virus. So they did the SARS. Now they're trying to cover up the origin of the deadly coronavirus. And the results that were thousands of unknown carriers spread the viral plague SARS, while the government covered up its epidemic proportions. Just like now we have people who are in China going back home to their various home countries, spreading this virus. China, of course, does not wish to have either its product or its citizens quarantined from other countries, but the Chinese government will not allow foreign scientists to enter this country to collaborate on getting the coronavirus and developing a vaccine. Gee, I wonder why. You know, one of the internet conspiracies speculate that the virus is either a rogue product of the Chinese military bioengineering weapons lab, originated from bat snakes And the open air market where they were selling food. I think it's bio, lab, something's lab. It's hard to believe that 2020, the world's largest and seventh wealthiest country, that boasts high-tech consumer products and booming cities, has imprisoned in re-education camps more than 1 million Uyghur Muslims in the same manner that Hitler, Stalin, and Mao once relocated undesirable populations. Side note, I've seen that this reference to Muslims in re-education camps. They realize what problems Muslims pose for people and countries. Chinese seem confident they will soon rule the world. Also, you have politicians in the United States on the payroll, I can put it past them. You can see population, massive trade surpluses, vast cash reserves, and industries that produce so many of the world's electronic devices, pharmaceuticals, and consumer goods. Unfortunately, we blame Henry Kissinger and what's his name? What's his name? President Director Johnson. Reporting guy. I can't. I just picture his face. I just dropped his name. Anyway, in my estimation, should never open up China to the world. Anyway. For a year, the Chinese government has battered massive street demonstrations for democracy in Hong Kong. Beijing simply assumes that Western nations don't care. They expect to drop their characteristic human rights advocacy was profitable for investors inside China have proven. And the money talks, social laws. Beijing was right. Few Western companies complain that Chinese society is surveilled, regulated, and controlled in a nightmarish fashion that George Orwell once predicted in his novel 1984. Yes, you want to see 1984? China's place. All those recent scandals should remind the world that China got rich by warping trade, stealing technology, well, it being the U.S., in much the same way that it deals with epidemic and dissidents, that is, by simply ignoring legitimate criticism and crushing anyone in its way. The Chinese Communist Board is willing to put millions of own citizens at risk with infection and death. Why would it care about foreigners? Complaining that China is getting rich and powerful by breaking international trade rules. The truth about President Donald Trump's decision to call China to account over its systematic abuse of international trade norms is not that Trump's policy is reckless or ill-considered. It is that at this late date, the reckoning might prove too little too late. And this was written by Victor Davis Hanson, who's a historian at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. And the author of the book, Second World Wars, How the First World Conflict Was Fought and Won, so on and so forth.
But
Yeah.
a couple comments on the poop coffee. It's called Koopy Lark, if I'm pronouncing it right. And it's $399 on Amazon right now for a 16-ounce bag.
I'll pass it out. I will pass on that one.
Me three. I think I'll pass on that one too. Well, we're down to the last 4 minutes. You guys got any parting shots you want to put out there quickly?
You know, it's scary to think about the whole coronavirus thing, but just use universal precautions. Wash your hands, cover your mouth, keep yourself clean.
Yeah, if you go out among the public in large places, maybe, especially in the areas where they are sending the quarantine bases, especially around those areas, you probably want to wear a mask. And if you're in those communities, I don't know of any around here yet, but
Just wash your hands, keep your fingers out of your mouth and away from your eyes and nose, and especially if you've been out in public, like to a mall or any public space.
Yeah, and money.
Money.
If you handle money. Okay.
If you're broke as hell, you ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah. Me three. I don't have any money. What the hell? Of course, with money being a disease transfer, that plays into the hands of those who want to go cashless society. Then you don't have to handle the money, you don't pick up the disease from it, you just push buttons on your computer. But having,
Credit card and swipe it.
yeah, or you swipe a credit card. But then again, with the credit card, you swipe and you can pick up germs on that when you run through the swiper. But with electronic transfers, you punch it out on your keyboard, nothing there. But don't make a mistake. If you're punching out a payment, make sure you double check how much you're sending, because you will have to go through hell to get a refund of anything that you overpay. I won't go into details, I know. But
I don't know how many vets are out there. If you missed it on the news, and you might have, the Veterans Administration has admitted that its treatment of PTSD, by and large, for most veterans who come in claiming some kind of PTSD, has not been successful in treating them. So, they're trying to figure out what they can do next. Be more successful in treating PTSD of veterans coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, even those still suffering vets from Vietnam, Korea, World War II, which of course are million numbers.
Not that I know everything, but it goes back to what I've been saying for a long time. You cannot take a veteran, you cannot take a soldier out of combat on Sunday and send him home to his family on Monday. He needs to be kept on base so he can go through group therapy every day. Some guys will open up right away, some won't, but he needs to be debriefed.
When I was in Iraq, got there in 2004, maybe 2001. Anyway, I had my took 2 weeks leave. Come on. Iraq to Kuwait to Atlanta, Georgia, to Pittsburgh. You were no.
Well,
They was just reversed on the way back. Now when it came, after our tour was done, we flew from Kuwait right to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, because actually it's the Pope Air Force Base. We came back with active duty unit, we were attached to we flew right at Pope Air Force Base. Got off the plane, and we went to old World War II barracks. Spent 4 days there. The hot process. And we were shipped out to go home.
well, some people can handle stress better than others, okay?
Sure.
And but they should be able to recognize. They should be able to recognize, with the number of vets, soldiers coming back, those that might. There's going to be some that will slip through, but they should be able to recognize those that are going to have a problem. And
Well, we went through the medical out process. They asked anybody that had any current problems. I don't think any of my folks did. They said, well, you have, something comes up, contact your local VA office. You get to the nearest VA hospital. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
well, like I said, they need 4 days. Even 4 days is not long enough for, because a lot of those symptoms are suppressed and don't come out for a while.
Well,
And sometimes,
we were reservists, so we didn't
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
wanted to get us home as soon as possible. Now, with the active duty guys, right there, I don't know.
but the point I'm getting at, you understand what I'm getting at. They need a longer vetting process or debriefing process. And because a lot of times when they get out into civilian life again, something in civilian life can set off some of these
Well, I know.
syndromes. Not that they're going to get them all, but I think they could do a better job. But that's my opinion for what it's worth. And all done, Scott?
And with that being said, 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Watch out for your brothers and sisters.
So, Mr. T, any last words?
I know we're all, a lot of us feeling the pinch of financial responsibilities. I'm trying to get a barn built. I don't know, you know, my money's going. But when you can, okay, you can stock up, just not just on the bullets, you know, but also food items. You know, try to stock up on food items, you know, 30 days, 40 days, whatever.
Even if you can't buy the dried food,
Yeah.
okay, because the price of the bucket, you go to the grocery stores. Quite often, right now, I've been seeing some grocery stores that have been advertising, well, for example, locally, Velasquez has got tuna fish for 69 cents a can, okay? Now, 69 cents a can. You got $10, you got $6.90, you go buy 10 cans, okay? You're not out much, but there's probably enough there if you're creative to make one can for a meal. Okay. There are other canned meats. There's chicken and there's turkey. Then they have canned roast beef stew. They have canned spaghettis. They got Spam. Okay. What was the other one besides Spam? Hormel. Well, anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, they have different cans of meat. Buy it that way because it will last, not necessarily forever, but it will last a long, long time, even after the expiration date. As long as the can has not swelled or shown any signs of leak, it will still be good. Flavor may have changed. I've been eating on some MRE entrees that are 20 years old. And they're not,
So good.
they're still good, okay? Well, at that point, kids, do your part, get to the gun shows, get food, get ammo, and if you haven't gotten a gun, that's too bad. Okay, well, that's it. Fort Pitt, we will see you next week, same bat channel, same bat time.
Oh, same bad time,